Welcome aboard Just Jets with your captain, Matt O'Leary. Buckle up and enjoy the ride.
Hello and welcome to episode number 48 of Just Jets. What's going on? I am Matt O'Leary, back with the new episode on a Monday. For the off season, we are returning back to Monday shows, so you get your week started with some Just Jets. We got a lot to get into this week. We're going to talk about potentially trading for Doug Pederson. That sounds like a terrible idea, and your voicemails following that. But before all of that, I would like to talk to you about MANSCAPED. MANSCAPED is the #1 men's grooming brand. Get yourself a Lawnmower 3.0 and do a little manscaping yourself by using promo code JETS20. That is promo code JETS20 for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Or they even sent me this awesome, I love it, the cologne from Manscaped. Refined cologne is what it's called. I'm going to spray a little on here. I love it. I love it. I wouldn't put it on my body if I didn't love it. So now not only can you keep yourself well groomed, you could keep yourself smelling nice. So pick yourself up something good from Manscaped by using my promo code JETS20. Now let's get into the episode after all the housekeeping stuff, and we'll talk about the rumor that came out today about Doug Pederson. So supposedly, Doug Pederson's future in Philadelphia is not as certain as some people originally thought, which is a scary thought because the idea of Doug Pederson being hired by the New York Jets or traded for, which there was a report that the Jets could potentially trade for Doug Pederson, that would be a massive mistake. I want no part of that. He had a terrible year with Carson Wentz this past year, and there's just some decision-making in even the last game of the year too, and I know that's not all on Doug Pederson. That's probably coming from other places as well, but a massive step back on a team that probably should have been a playoff team. That is a talented roster, and they underachieved. Now, they did win a Super Bowl in 2017. I understand that, and I do like some things about him, like he's an aggressive coach. That much I do like. I'll be completely honest with you, but I just don't see it working with the New York Jets. And also, when you consider that someone has won a Super Bowl in their first location, the chances of them winning in their second location, very, very slim. This gives me Mike McCarthy-like vibes. Now, to Pederson's credit, again, he has won more recently than McCarthy, but I just don't think this would be a good fit. I know that, I almost said, well, it is Doug Pederson. I know that Doug Pederson and Joe Douglas worked together in the past in Philadelphia, but I don't want to make this the Philadelphia New York Jets or the New York Eagles, or so to speak. I think that it's wise of Joe Douglas to do a big search, and I like that he's the one leading the charge, but bringing a guy like Doug Pederson after you're interviewing a ton of really qualified candidates, like, I would so much rather go to Baltimore then and get Wink Martindale or pull out Greg Roman, or you interviewed Brian Daboll yesterday. That's exciting. Joe Brady is an exciting name in my eyes. I know after yesterday's performance, Arthur Smith, people soured on him, and I get it to an extent, but I would even be more excited over a hire like that than a retread. Retread options just, they don't really move the needle too much for me. And again, I completely understand that he won a Super Bowl in 2017, but I think there's a reason why he was on the hot seat in Philadelphia, and to give up draft assets to acquire that just doesn't seem to make sense. Another final thought on something here in the open before we jump into the voicemails. The idea of trading for Desean Watson, I was wrong about it on the live stream with Green Bean and Ryan from Jets Talk 24/7. I did not think that it was even remotely close to a possibility. I got to give credit to Green Bean because he is right that it does seem like it could be a possibility. Now, I still personally think it would be stupid of the Texans to trade a top 5 quarterback, but if they are doing it, yes, it's something I think the Jets should at minimum look into. It all depends on what the cost is. If you have to give 4 first-round picks for Desean Watson, then I'm probably not doing that. But if it's something like SNY put out there where it was both first this year, a 3rd-round pick this year, and a 2nd-round pick next year or something to that effect, then I would still absolutely do that. It's just when you are in a position to get a top 5 quarterback in the league who's 25 years old at a reasonable cap cost for next year, That's pretty exciting. I know eventually he's going to have to make the $40 million and all that, and I get all that fun stuff, but it's worth it when you can get someone at that caliber. You hope Justin Fields or you hope Zach Wilson turns into a player like Deshaun Watson has been in this league. I don't think the Jets are going to trade for him if I have to put money on it. The Dolphins being in the mix is a scary, scary thought that I want no part of. The thought of going against Deshaun Watson and Josh Allen twice a year is not a good one. And I either hope that he stays in with the Texans or gets traded to an NFC team, man. Don't put him in the Jets division. That's not something that I would be looking forward to. But those are the two real big storylines of the week. And yes, the Jets are going through and interviewing guys. I think it's going to be, a long process. And I talked about in a video this week on the channel, which if you haven't seen already, go and check out after this, about ranking where each one of my candidates are, with who's going to be high or who's going to be interviewed and who could be hired and who I'd like to see hired. A little upset that Matt Campbell is not going to be interviewed, and I think the Jets were interested. I just don't think he was interested in leaving Iowa State. He seems to love it out there. But if the Jets can get Pat Fitzgerald, cool. Okay, I'd be in on that. But it is a little disappointing. I'm not going to lie that Matt Campbell is not an option because I think he'd be a very, very good head coach. And unfortunately, I'm still salty about the original Matt Campbell, Matt Rule, leaving in 2018, and how he didn't get the job is just beyond me. So with that, let's just get into the voicemails and let's answer some questions. We're going to talk Sam Darnold, NFL draft, free agency. We got a lot to get into. So let's start. We're going to start out with James in New Jersey who wants to talk about Sam Darnold. James, talk to me. What do you got?
Hey, Matt, this is James from New Jersey. Love your show, first-time caller.
Thank you.
I actually love the content that you, Ryan, and Green Bean does, so awesome job. Keep up the good work.
Yes.
You're actually been the only highlight I've had throughout this whole season
Thank you.
when there's no other football in the off-season. Anyway, this is more of a reaction instead of more of a question. Well, no, I'm sorry. This is a question. I apologize. So let's say this.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Sam Darnold. I think he has highlight. I think he has talent. But let's see this. Let's say that we do take a quarterback in the draft, and we do trade Sam Darnold.
Okay.
And let's say somewhere down the road we do have our new franchise quarterback, and the opponent we play with our new franchise quarterback, Sam Darnold, is the starting quarterback. This is a hypothetical wherever he goes.
Gotcha.
Let's say Sam Darnold progresses with that specific program and franchise with a new team. If he tears it up with us against the Jets, would you be happy or would you be disappointed that we let him go and he beat us? That's just a good question. I hope you hear this voicemail. I hope you hear from you soon. And as always, go Jets. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, James. I really appreciate that question. It's I'll root for Sam Darnold wherever he goes. I have a soft spot for him. I am upset that it didn't work here, but I would still be okay with moving him, even if he turns into a player, because I think that is the right call. I don't think you can bank on him going into his fourth year. And when you're picking in the top two and you have a quarterback class like this, I think it'd behoove you to take a quarterback, whichever one you like there. If you trade Sam Darnold to, let's say, the 49ers and he turns into a middle-of-the-pack quarterback, because I think that's his ceiling at this point, is maybe he's like a middle-of-the-road kind of player. I don't think he's ever going to reach that top 10 ceiling that we maybe initially anticipated. But I wouldn't be happy that he beat the Jets, but I would be happy that he found success elsewhere. And that would be upsetting, I guess. If to answer your question, I'd be upset if he beat the Jets, but I'm obviously rooting for him to continue his NFL career after this. So interesting thought, James. Next up, we're going to go to Ethan in Connecticut, who wants to talk about the Jets' second-round pick.
Hey, it's Ethan out of Connecticut. I've been a Jets fan for 16 years. I'm a junior in high school, and I just
cool.
want to say that I love the way you're advertising on your social media. It
Thank you.
helps new fans come in, and thank you for doing your part to support the franchise.
Sure.
Just had one question. So with the 33rd pick, or wherever we're picking, the second pick in the first round, would you be interested in taking either Travis Etienne or Najee Harris, the two running backs? And if so, which one do you like better, and if you're willing to take one at all? Just if I can get your opinion on that, that'd be great. Thanks, man. Love it up. Keep it up, man.
Sure. So if the Jets trade Sam Darnold for a second-round pick, let's assume, then you would have 6 picks in the first 3 rounds. If you do that, then maybe I could use a second-round pick on a running back. I can maybe get into that, but I think I would go a different direction. I would look to because let's say in the first round, quarterback at 2, interior offensive line, where with the Seattle pick, and then in the second round, I'm probably going edge and corner, and looking to address running back. I would probably bring in a veteran to go with P. Ryan and Ty Johnson. That would probably be my play if I had to say. I like Travis Etienne better than Najee Harris. I think Etienne's going to go in the late first round, and Harris is going to go in the early second round. I think both guys can have success at the next level. I personally just can't get behind using that kind of draft capital for one of those 2 players with the other needs on the Jets. Again, I don't dislike either of those 2 players. I think they could be good at the next level. I would just go a different direction with that pick. I hope that makes sense. Next up is Ben, and thank you, Ethan, for checking in, who wants to talk about free agency.
What's up, Matt? It's Ben from Jersey here. So previously I left a voicemail about head coaches. Now this one is going to be about who the Jets should sign in free agency to become at least a competitive team in 2021. So the first guy, I'm signing Allen Robinson first chance I get.
Okay.
I feel like having a number 1 receiver, like an established one, is important for a quarterback to have the success early. Like Sam Darnold had Robbie Anderson, but Robbie Anderson is not even close to what Allen Robinson is. If I'm Joe Douglas, I'm giving him a pretty nice sizable contract, and I'm making him a Jet so he can catch balls from hopefully Justin Fields or Zach Wilson at MetLife.
Agree. I like that. I like that a lot.
Next guy, I'm signing Joe Thuney from the New England Patriots. So Thuney connected to the Jets last offseason. Rumors said if he didn't get franchise tagged by the Patriots at the 11th hour, he would get signed by the Jets.
Agree, 100% agree.
But I feel like Thuney's going to hit the market this year, and I feel like Joe Douglas. I feel like Thuney's going to be his first choice. Personally, I'd sign Robinson over Thuney, but Joe Douglas would probably prioritize the offensive line.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
The third guy. This is kind of like a low-key sign, but it could definitely be a huge one. I'm going to sign Romeo Okwara from the Detroit Lions.
Okay.
He is severely underrated. I think he has 9 sacks this year or something like that. He's not going to cost as much as like a Matt Judon or a Bud Dupree, but I feel like if we get him on like a pretty decent contract, maybe like $9-10 mil a year, I feel like that would be really good to help have an actual threat off the edge. The fourth guy, I'm signing Jamal Williams, the running back from the Green Bay Packers. He's overshadowed by Aaron Jones, but since he's a free agent, I think he's going to leave the Packers. And when he starts, he's been pretty good. And I think if we draft a running back and we have Jamal Williams, we still have Michael P. Ryan and Ty Johnson, I think next year we can really use a committee to help the offense. Final guy, a Joe Douglas guy from Philly, Rasul Douglas. He's a solid corner.
I like this.
But if he could be like our third corner, that would be nice. Because teams like the Chiefs, they don't have like the stud cornerback, but they have a bunch of solid cornerbacks who just make the defense better. So those are my 5 guys that I really want to sign in free agency. Please let me know what you think. Is there anyone I should add or take out? And as always, go Jets.
That's a really, really good free agency class. I like it a lot. I looked it up while you were talking. Romeo Okwara had 10 sacks, actually. So you're pretty close. He was one better than you originally thought. I would prioritize Thuney over Robinson, and I love Allen Robinson. He would be my number 1 receiving target. But if I had the choice of getting Thuney and, let's say, Kenny Golladay instead of Allen Robinson, I would rather go that route, I think. Just because I think the need at interior offensive line is bigger than the difference between Robinson or Golladay, if that makes sense. I love Jamal Williams. Love it. I think he'd be the perfect veteran to put in here. And then if you give me Romeo Okwara and maybe Patrick Jones II in the draft at like pick 30, what are the Jets, 34 in the second round, whatever it is, I would do that in a heartbeat. I love that a lot. I think you hit a home run on this one. I really do, Ben. I like this free agency class. I don't know if you'll be able to get all of those guys, but your mind is absolutely in the right place, and we align a lot on our logic in free agency. So absolutely love it. I'd be a big fan of that. Jeff in New Jersey is next. He wants to talk about Marvin Lewis and Deshaun Watson.
Hey, Matt. It's Jeffrey from New Jersey, and I just looked at my phone, and I saw that we had just interviewed Marvin Lewis. I want nothing to do with this guy unless for some reason he's our defensive coordinator. But this guy as head coach, I want nothing, absolutely nothing to do with this guy. We make it to the playoffs. We know we're not winning a game with him. We know it already. All right, the most important thing, though, I want to talk about is Desean Watson. Reportedly considering requesting a trade from the Texans. I would be all over this if I was Joe Douglas. I know Schefter talked about a big trade in the offseason. I don't think that's what Schefter had in mind, but, I mean, if there's a trade we're going to do in the offseason, one, you got to trade Sam Darnold. I don't care who you trade him to. Get at least maybe a second-round pick. I think you can get that still for him.
Me too.
But please just move on from Sam. Even if he's successful in his career, I'd rather him have that success somewhere else because I just don't want to take a chance on him right now. We do not have the luxury to do that. But anyway,
agree.
I want to hear your thoughts on Deshaun Watson potentially coming here. I would love it. And what would you give up for him? Thank you, Matt, and have a great day.
Yeah, thank you for checking in. I love Deshaun Watson, so I would say both firsts this year, a fifth this year, and a second next year. I think I would do that. He is an elite player, an elite quarterback. He's just 25 years old. He's in the prime of his career, and you still have a ton of cap space, especially after let's say you cut Henry Anderson, and I don't know who someone else you can cut. Alex Lewis could save you some money. That should bring you up to around, even with the $15 million cap hit that you would have to have from Deshaun Watson, you would still have roughly $80 million in cap space. So you can build a team around them. You absolutely could. And one of the biggest issues with the Houston Texans was that they had no offensive line. And if, let's say, you sign Joe Thuney and you could add maybe like a Brown from Alabama on the interior of the offensive line. I think it's Deontay Brown, right? In the early third round, then you would have a good offensive line. You could still sign a wide receiver and have a pretty good wide receiver trio at that point. That would be enough. And then sign, like the last caller just talked about, Ben, Jamal Williams. That would be more than enough for Deshaun Watson to succeed. That's how good he is as a player. So I would love it. I don't think it's likely for the Jets, but I do think it's something that they should explore. I wouldn't give up 4 first-round picks for him. Do I think he is potentially worth 4 first-round picks? Yes, but I don't think it would take that much because the Texans would be in a desperate situation if they are forced to trade him. Next up, I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name. It was hard to hear. It sounds like Ildi on the phone, and he wants to talk about Deshaun Watson.
Hey, Matt. It's Ildi from New York. I've called a few times. Unfortunately, you never get to my voicemails.
Sorry.
I'm just kidding.
Sorry, buddy.
So, Deshaun Watson, these rumors that I'm hearing about Deshaun Watson, I guess I kind of just wanted to talk about it and get your opinion on it, what you think. I really don't think it's a good idea to get Deshaun Watson if Joe Douglas was considering it. And the main reason is not because he's not a good player, because he's a phenomenal player. And I really think that he would be able to take the Jets to the playoffs at the very least. But I think that the value that Deshaun Watson holds, it would be too much of a cost. It would be way too much of a cost. Not that the Jets can't afford it with the amount of draft capital and cap space we have, but why spend all of that, all of those draft picks and possibly a player or two on our team to bring in Deshaun Watson when we need to fill so many damn holes on this team? Like, yeah, we need a quarterback, and yeah, we need weapons. But I think it's a lot smarter to choose a QB at number 2, whether it's Justin Fields or Zach Wilson, and bring them in, which only costs 1 pick that you're using to get the damn player. And then with all the other picks in cap space, help out that fresh QB that you chose. Like, I hear all these people talking about Desean Watson, like, Jets, I hope you go. Like, I'm reading comments in the YouTube videos that I'm looking at, like, oh, get Desean Watson, he's a great player, we need him. But, like, it's really not smart. Like, if JD did it, if JD bought him, I would be very shocked, because something just tells me JD's not that type of guy. But, yeah, man, I just wanted to know what you thought about that. Thanks a lot. Hope you hear this. Have a good one, and go Jets.
I'm going to disagree in the terms that you won't be able to build a roster around Desean Watson if you have to give up, let's say, the 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick next year, and a late-round pick, something like that. If it was 4 first-round picks, then, yeah, I don't think that's something that would make sense to do. That's too much. But if you can get him for a semi-reasonable cost, then that's a completely different story. It's really contingent on what you can get him for. He would instantly make the Jets a better team. A top 5 quarterback at 25 years old. There's not many of those in the NFL. You hope Zach Wilson or Justin Fields, whoever you like, turns into a top 5 player. But the chances of that happening, slimmer than getting the guy who's already there. And that's not to say that Justin Fields or Zach Wilson couldn't potentially do that. It's just you have a known commodity at a young age. If you get him for a reasonable cost, okay. I think at minimum, just pick up the phone and see. If Houston's new GM says, yeah, it's going to take 4 first-round picks or an entire draft, then you say, okay, thank you, I'm all set with that, and you hang up the phone. That's it. That's all it takes. Just a phone call. Just check in. So thank you, and we're going to go to Vinny in Peekskill.
Hi, Matt. It's Vinny from Peekskill. You know, I've been listening to the recent talk about the Jets' current situation and everything, and that there's way too many holes on this roster and such, and I really don't see it. Now, recently, I just watched a video breakdown of the roster by YouTube analyst Brett Kohlerman, and he does a really good job of, looking over the roster and pointing out that there aren't really that many holes. If you haven't checked out the video, I recommend you check it out. But, and I hear this talk, and it's just infuriating, and with the latest rumors about Desean Watson, you hear a lot of fans saying that we can't afford it. In reality, the problems really, if you re-sign the key free agents, is linebacker, corner, edge on defense. And then on offense, it's interior offensive line, wide receiver, and running back. That's not an absurd shopping list, in my opinion. Obviously, excluding depth, but depth is not an impossible thing to find in the NFL. So that's my opinion, and that's about it.
Yeah, thank you, Vinny. I like where your mind's at on this, in that I don't think the offense is as far away as some people think. A new quarterback's going to help a lot. Interior offensive line help's going to help a lot. You definitely need another receiver, maybe a veteran tight end. On the defensive side, definitely need speed off the edge, a corner or 2, depending on if you bring back Brian Poole. You're going to have to re-sign Neville Hewitt probably. You hope that C.J. Mosley can play 75% the player that he was a few years ago. Safety, I think you're good. You got to re-sign Marcus May, but you can make the case the defense needs more help. I really do think you could say that. But as far as the offense goes, need a little bit of line help, need one more receiver, and a veteran running back, and I think you're in pretty good shape at that point. So I get it, Vinny. I think you're onto something there. Next is Mario in Long Beach. Wants to talk about the draft. Let's hear from Mario.
Hey, Matt. It's Mario from Long Beach. So I had a little idea in the draft here.
Okay.
A little different. We take Penny Sewell at number 2.
Okay.
And then we figure what we need to trade up to take Trey Lance, the quarterback. We have the number 2 pick. well, that'll be for Penny Sewell, but we also have the later round in the first round. We figure out what we need to now. This guy might not be ready to play right away. Why don't we keep Sam and use him like New Orleans uses that other quarterback who comes in for
Hill?
For Breeze, I forget his name, and sort of ease him in. So now we got the bookends at the offensive line, and now we got another quarterback that maybe we're grooming to take over for Sam if Sam doesn't work. If Sam works, then we have a great backup, or we have other trade opportunities later on. Let me know what you think. Bye.
That's tough. I for a few reasons. You're going to have to give up draft assets to get it back up high enough to take Trey Lance because he's going to be a top 15 pick at the absolute worst. So then you're going to have to trade your second-round pick and your other first-round pick probably, if not more than that, to get back up, let's say, into the top 10-ish. And then you're keeping Sam Darnold too, so you're not recouping any of the value that you had to give up to move up. I don't think I can get behind that. I'm not trying to make this difficult. I would just take whichever quarterback you like out of Justin Fields or Zach Wilson at 2, trade Sam Darnold for a second, continue to build the interior of the offensive line, get an edge, get a corner or two, and let's go to work like that. I think that's the best way to build a roster. I think if you get too cute with the quarterback position, you're looking for trouble. Thanks for checking in, Mario. Let's go to Ace in Tennessee, who wants to talk about the draft.
Hey, Matt, Ace, Memphis, Tennessee, long time no talk here.
What up?
Just want to say I just watched Seattle get beat down by that Rams defense, which is good news for us Jets fans.
Yes.
Predicted to pick between 22 and 24, and hopefully by the time you play this, we know what we're picking. But that is a huge leap from 27, and there's going to be a lot of good players still there for us. And obviously there's still a lot of variables going on with the Jets. We don't know what we are going to do. There's so many things that could happen. And I think we got to wait till after the national championship game, after the combine, all the interviews. But I'm with you with getting rid of Sam Darnold if the pick is right. But if there's options to trade down with Cincinnati, with even the Dolphins, if the Dolphins know that we're trying to trade with Cincinnati for Penny Sewell, they might jump up. I think you can still trade down to 5 and still get a Zach Wilson, possibly Justin Fields. Maybe not. One of them will probably be gone, but I just want to get your intake on trading down a couple spots and still getting, even that 5 spot, you can probably get Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith. There's still so many great players you can get, but I don't know. I'm starting to think maybe keeping Sam Darnold and building. I don't know. It's hard, man. But let me know what you think if trading down would work, and go Jets, man.
Yeah, thank you. I would not move back. I wouldn't. Let's say, I don't know, the Jets are sitting at 2. If you want to trade back to 5 with Cincinnati, then Cincinnati, let's play the game. So Cincinnati trades up to 2. Jets drop to 5. They take Penny Sewell. So now the Dolphins are sitting there at 3. Then you have Atlanta sitting there at 4 and the Jets at 5. If I'm the Dolphins, then I am looking to trade back. So then another team, let's say Detroit moves up. They take Justin Fields. Atlanta takes Zach Wilson. And then you're SOL at 5. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to make it hard on myself. Joe Douglas is a smart guy. He knows how to move down the draft board. I understand all that. But when you're picking in the top 2 and you're a quarterback needy team, just take the one you like. Don't make it difficult on yourself. If you're moving back, you're just making life more difficult. The Jets already have a ton of draft assets anyway, so it's not like they have to recoup any either. So I don't want to get cute with it. Next up is Elias in Rochester, wants to talk free agency and specifically Marvin Jones.
Hey, Matt, this is Elias from Rochester. First of all, I want to thank Blitzboy and Seahawks for being really bad today.
Yes.
So thanks for the higher draft pick, boys. Really appreciate it. Especially you, Blitzboy. You still stuck in coverage, so that's great to see. I have a couple of Jets thoughts and then a question towards the end. So, first of all, anyone, I don't understand the whole Sam Darnold thing anymore. I haven't really understood it for a while now, but the fact that some dude from the XFL, Taylor Heineke or whatever his name is, just threw for over 300 yards and looked way better than Sam has this year, I think that kind of says everything. And then my other thought is, why is, I like Justin Fields, I like Zach Wilson, but with people against Justin Fields, why are people acting like, his 2 bad games were so bad, and then when he throws 6 touchdowns, it's not a big deal, I need to see it again.
Good point.
I don't understand that at all. But my
There's a
question
double
to
standard.
you is, what are your thoughts on this free agent, Marvin Jones from the Lions? So they obviously have both their free agent wide receivers. They're both free agents, so they're probably only going to be able to retain one of them. And I think Jones would be a good, cheaper option. And you could put all your free agent money into Joe Tooney, which looks like we would have gotten him last year if he wouldn't have got franchise tag. And then also one more thing too about this Desean Watson stuff. This actually, I have a proposal for you about this. How about our first this year, both first next year, and Sam Darnold to the Texans? I would do that in a heartbeat. I can't stand the argument, he doesn't have anything around it. Well, there's other picks besides first-round picks. And his supporting cast in Houston is awful, too. And, he could probably succeed here, too. So I would do anything to get him. But, yeah, man, go Jets. Go all the teams that help us get a higher draft pick from Seattle. And also, let's go Mets. We got Lindor, baby. Let's go. Keep up the great work, man.
Love it. Excited about Lindor. Okay, so I'll do Marvin Jones first. Actually, no, this is the easier one. So I would say yes in a second for your trade proposal. I think that's more than fair. I'd be thrilled if that was the package that the Jets moved in order to get DeShaun Watson. As far as it goes with Marvin Jones, he's going to be 31 next year, so that scares me a little bit. I think there are a lot better options out there, and I'm not saying like it has to be Allen Robinson or bust. No, there's a lot of guys who are going to the free agent market. I would rather a Corey Davis even over someone like Marvin Jones. If you want a second-tier option, or Curtis Samuel. I just think with the age thing that scares me a little bit. So he's probably pretty far down on my list. But I like the thought process of maybe going another direction, because if let's say you go out for Thuney and you miss out on Galladay, Robinson, stuff like that, then okay, sign a Corey Davis. That would be my play anyway. So thank you, Elias. We're going to go to Bobby and Callie, who wants to talk about positions the Jets don't need. It's slim. It's hard. That's going to be hard.
Hey, what's up, Matt? It's Bobby
from
California. So I know a lot of people are talking about our top position needs and everything for this offseason, but I was wondering, what are the top 3 positions that you think we need the least help with? For one, I think the D-line is pretty set. I think we're pretty good at linebacker. I don't know, but beyond that, I'm not really quite sure. Just give me your take on that. And also, I was wondering, how do you feel about Joe Douglas saying, quote, "Our guys have really been grinding on all these prospects really since May"? I don't know. It seems kind of unorthodox for me, but if you give me your take on that, just let me know. Thank you for the show. Hope you're having a great day. Go Jets.
Yeah, you too, man. Thanks for checking in. I think that's a scout's job, is really to do that. So I don't think I'm too surprised. I don't think that's anything really out of the ordinary there. I don't really read too much into that. You have NFL guys, you have college guys, so I think some scouts are going to do college all year. As far as positions the Jets don't need, I agree with you with interior defensive line is definitely number 1. Don't need any more help there. Linebacker was probably 2, just because of the amount of money you still have invested in C.J. Mosley. And then if you re-sign Marcus May, I would say safety. If you don't, then obviously that's not. But the point of this, I think, is the point that you're trying to make, is the Jets have a lot of needs where they don't necessarily have a ton of spots filled. I guess tackle you can maybe put on the list. You're going to have to add a running back. You're probably going to have to add a veteran tight end. You're going to need a wide receiver help, quarterback help. Yeah, I would say interior defensive line and linebacker are the 2 gimmies. Maybe offensive tackle you swap out for safety if you don't want to do safety there. But I would say those are probably the positions that the Jets aren't going to put a ton of premium assets in this year. Last one, Josh in Woodmere wants to talk Wilson versus Fields.
Seahawks lose. That's big for us. And I just, thinking about the draft, Wilson versus Fields. I'm a Wilson guy, even though, Fields went off against Clemson. And obviously we'll see what he does against Bama in the championship game. But even if he throws 6 touchdowns against Bama, or whatever, has a big day and plays really well like he did against Clemson, I would still have Wilson over him. I want you to do compare them and they're, who's the better runner, who's the better passer, who has a better arm, and just break that down. Each category of that NFL quarterback, every quarterback, running, passing, seeing the field, turnovers, who's better in each category, and ultimately who you would take. And for me, I would take Wilson because of the arm. His arm's just so big. And make sure I compared him to Rodgers, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
But Fields has potential to have a top 10 arm in the league in the NFL, like Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray type arm. But you saw him against Clemson. He has a big arm. But even despite that, Wilson has even a bigger arm. He's got Josh Allen, Rodgers, Mahomes kind of potential with his arm, in my opinion. So I don't know what you think about that and how you would compare them, which one you would take. And could this change with a bad performance against Alabama for Fields, or a good performance for me? No matter what, no matter how good Fields plays. The only thing that would make me change my opinion is if at the Combine, Fields is showing better against our defense. I think Wilson's going to outplay him at the Combine and throw the ball much better. So
okay.
That's the only way it would change. I want to know what you think about that, and go Jets.
Thank you, Josh. I prefer Wilson. I'm not anti-Fields. I would be more than thrilled with either of those two being the pick at number 2. Here's how I'll break it down. Wilson has the bigger arm, and I would say the better deep ball accuracy. Fields still has a good deep ball, but Wilson's is just out of this world. Wilson has better arm strength, and as far as Fields' strength, he is less turnover prone. He has better legs. Wilson's field vision is better. To me, the biggest con for each one of these guys is Wilson sometimes getting in the habit of forcing a ball, trying to make a play, and Fields can at times be slow reading a defense. Both of those things can be fixed at the next level. I personally think it is easier to get a quarterback to stop forcing the ball than it is to speed up their reading process. That's why I lean Fields at 2. If it was up to me, Wilson at 2 rather, that's why I would take Wilson if I had the number 2 pick and I was the one making the call. Again, if it's Fields, I'm happy about it, but I prefer Wilson. And it really depends. And speaking of the championship game coming up against Alabama, this is a good way to end. Green Bean and Ryan from Jets Talk 24/7 will be live streaming during that game on Jets Talk 24/7's channel. So definitely check that out. It's tonight. Hopefully you're watching this on Monday. If not, you missed it, but you can go back and watch our reaction. So I'm excited to get into this on Monday night or tonight and really get into what the Jets are going to do. Because right now it's still a question mark, but maybe that gets a little bit easier with a big-time performance and a big win over Alabama, but we'll see what happens. That's going to do it for me on this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Matt O'Leary. Make sure to subscribe wherever you're watching or getting this, and I'll talk to you next time.